mannequin. She came the year they finally built a traffic light on 1st and Main. The aspen grove was gone, and the salmon chose another route. But the hardware store was new, and the bowling alley was full on Fridays. City slickers in a Prius come for the cry of the wolf, to rediscover what they have lost. They return for the sunsets, and pretty waitresses with sunflower hair, and the way folks look you right in the eye. She saw the old town peek its head around the gas station awning. The preacher daughter sings to God on Sunday and prays for a bus ticket on Monday. The rancher mourns his dead dog, and the cheerleader hides the bruises around her neck. She danced up the bar into darkness, a smile, a nod, and hope, like flashing lights on slot machines. Someday she'll disappear, a whisper. Only the sagebrush remembers. Intersections of story and place. It was the way they sat that first caught my attention. I was meeting stock growers in Wallowa County, Oregon, to discuss the reintroduction of wolves. The wind rushed toward me in a blast of Arctic air. Autumn was soon approaching. In a gust, they walked into camp wearing jeans, spurs, and cowboy hats, bona fide American West ranchmen. These 4 tough, strong men, and yet the way they sat was tentative. They were hunched against the wind, wide-brimmed hats covering their eyes. These men, who I expected to be boastful in their words and actions, were almost hesitant as they opened up. They simply told me their story. These men all share a love of this place and the life they have created. Some of the stock growers become choked up as they told me how they fear the reintroduction of the wolf. They are worried about attacks on their dogs and predation on their cattle. These ranchmen are losing money. Their land is worthless due to the presence of wolves, and the calves are underweight because of the stress of wolves, and this is affecting their livelihoods. Some wonder whether they can even remain ranchers in Wallowa County. I felt myself becoming choked up with them. Their stories were painful for me to hear. I began to wonder how much the wolf deserved to be reintroduced into a land where it would cause so much strife. The following week, I met with Suzanne Foudy, a hydrologist with the U.S. Forest Service. She radiated a frantic sort of energy, and her goal was to convince me that we must repair our riparian zones to start restoring the ecosystem. She gave me powerful examples of destructive cattle grazing, the benefits of aspen wolves in the landscape, and the need to reintroduce beaver into the ecosystem. With this, a greater diversity of life can begin to flourish. I expected Suzanne to be scientific and very logical with her presentations. However, I was taken aback when the explanation of why she cares so profoundly for her work brought her to tears. Suzanne turned her head away to hide her sadness. In that moment, I felt so deeply for her pain and her story. This woman sees a land that is dying, and it is her mission to help make the landscape whole again. I understand what she sees, these complex, interconnected riparian zones, and how they can begin to heal what we have broken. Her love for the tiny aspen buds and native grasses untouched by cattle paint a more vivid picture than any scientific fact. These stories matter for the West. It is easy to get caught up in the facts and figures surrounding Western issues and forget the human element. Each calf killed by a wolf means a loss of around $1,500 for a rancher. While this number may seem insignificant, to a rancher this is his livelihood. A monetary amount cannot adequately represent the pain in a rancher's eyes. In this same vein, it is one thing to learn about the ecological factors that influence an ecosystem, how the beaver interact with the aspen. It is another to see these details firsthand, to stand on top of a beaver dam and listen to a passionate ecologist speak of the wonders of dam building and tiny aspen suckers, to hear the pain in her voice as she laments the dying of an ecosystem. Their stories are not so different, that of the stockman and the ecologist. Both share a profound love of the land. Both are deeply pained by the stories they see. While the details may change, the plot is the same, a fight against the destruction of a way of life. Both the stock grower and ecologist are battling for the same thing. They each wish to see the land as she once was, the stock grower as an irrigated farmable land, and the ecologist as a hands-off wilderness refuge. Yet maybe, within these stories, there is an opportunity for both sides to see the similarities of their worlds instead of the differences. Perhaps in these stories they can learn to listen. These stories matter. They capture the emotional side of the argument, the place that cannot be explained through facts and figures. They strike a chord within all of us and capture our attention. And in this attention, we can begin to listen. To listen to the other side, to listen to any side, and feel compassion for their cause is the first step towards compromise. I feel such empathy for both the ranchers and the ecologists. If they could listen to each other's stories, they would understand the similarities between each other. They would find a compromise in the complexity of their stories.